Now then, welcome back, Saddos, to another episode of the Sitcom Archive Deep Dive Overdrive with me, Eggs Benedict, and Alison Barton-Simmons. We are... Oh, sorry, say hello, Al.
I leant forward then to say hello, but you said it for me.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hi. We're currently taking the deepest of dives into every episode ever made of The Good Life, or Good Neighbours, if you're an American, which ran from 1975 to 1978 on the BBC. Now, there you go, there's the admin over with. This is actually the first episode since we went live, as in we recorded a shitload and then finally started publishing them early September. So this is actually the first time since we've published the podcast that we've recorded one, if that makes sense. So this is the first time we've been able to say thank you to anyone who's actually listened and sent us positive vibes, isn't it?
Yeah. These people are out there. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's great that people are being nice and giving us positive feedback, and that Carl Howman retweeted us.
Oh, see, that was a big day. It was a really big day.
It's like, fuck. I was like, running into Ali's room going, Jacko's just retweeted us.
Jacko from Brushstroke. Oh.
Yeah.
And was it to do with the Esmond and Larby link between the two series?
Yeah, to be fair, I did send him a begging tweet saying retweet us because we were I just jumped on something and said something about Larby and Esmond because they wrote Brushstrokes. Yeah.
Oh,
but it's nice.
It is nice. He's aware of us.
Well, yeah, do we feel obliged to do Brushstrokes in the future now?
I think so, yeah. I think that's got to be in the bag. Definitely.
Oh, chisel. Well, yeah, we'll maybe get round to Brushstrokes at some point. So, just to restate the obvious, what we're about here is we're a listen along or a watch along podcast. You can watch the episodes on Daily Motion for free or on BritBox, or you can buy the DVDs from various obscure places. And then you can listen along to what we talk about in terms of the episode afterwards. We'll pull it apart and, analyse it, and, well, we won't get too anal. Well, naturally we do get quite anal, but we try not to go too far down a rabbit hole. So yes, do that. If you follow us on Twitter, you will see our links to where you can watch it for free, and then you can listen along to the weekly episode. Al.
Yes.
I've got a quick Does Margo Approve?
Oh, excellent. Yes, go for it.
All right?
Yes.
Jingle, wherever put it.
Does Margo approve? Does she approve? Does Margo approve? Does she approve? Does Margo approve? Does she approve?
Okay, does Margo approve of the youth of today? Or would she? Would Margo approve of the youth of today?
Oh, now that's a tricky one, because I don't think she would approve of the youth today, because I think we're in a time where youth have a bigger voice as they've ever had, and they've got a platform to speak. And I think Margo would be that children should be seen and not heard. So I would say that definitely Margo would not approve of the youth today.
Well, I mean, yes, it is the obvious answer with her conservative views that she would be a bit like that. And I guess you've seen this coming, but I've set you up once again because I found another piece of Penelope Keith diatribe. Although the reason I've picked it is that we seem to be picking on Penelope Keith, don't we?
Yeah, because she's easy sort of target, isn't she?
But we love her, really. It's just that she seems, occasionally she has a little rant when she's interviewed. But I wanted to pick this one because it's actually really positive about the youth of today from Penelope Keith. She was talking, I don't know when this article was from because I haven't bothered writing it down, but she was talking to somebody about when she was old enough to apply at the Central School of Speech and Drama, they turned her down because she was too tall.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently 5'10" is considered too tall to be an actress in the 19...
Is that right?
50s, 60s, yeah.
Is that because you'd be taller than quite a lot of men? And the
probably
sort of hierarchy would be...
Yeah,
wouldn't.
Although there's that wonderful... I don't know if you've ever seen that wonderful clip of Penelope Keith in The Avengers when she was doing an action scene, doing high kicks and everything.
No, but I bet that was fantastic to watch.
Well, I'll tweet that out. That's a
yes,
belter,
please.
Yeah. However, what does Penelope have to say about the youth of today? This was only from about 3 or 4 years ago, I think. So she says, I won't try. I nearly tried to do a voice, but that would be a bad idea. She says, I don't like the categories we seem to insist upon today. Older people are not more clever than the young. They've just been around longer and have more experience. The young should not be penalised simply for being young. Being tall did not mean that I could not act. The superiority complex never did anyone any good. Just ask Margo.
Oh, well, knock me down with a feather. That's really surprising, but also nice to hear.
Yeah. Good on you, Penelope.
Yeah, we'd like that.
Hopefully we've gone some way to redeeming ourselves with Penelope Keith if we ever try and secure an interview with her.
Oh.
So, without further ado, or I saw someone write online, without further adieu. Some people think that that phrase is further adieu. Fucking idiots.
People.
Without further hello, let's get stuck straight into this episode of The Good Life, Series 2, Episode 2, The Guru of Surbiton.
Good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life.
So the episode opens on Barbara cutting Tom's hair.
Yeah.
Which is timeless, isn't it, I think?
Absolutely.
Given what we've been going through.
And it considering the time that we're in at the moment of the coronavirus lockdown, and in fact, I'm just as an aside, I'm in Bolton, in the UK, which has just had bigger lockdown restrictions placed on the town because we just can't do what we're told, and we're now top of the country for coronavirus cases. But this Barbara cutting Tom's hair did remind me of. During the lockdown, I was doing the same thing for my son. I was cutting his hair in the kitchen because we couldn't go anywhere because all the salons were shut. So I set about becoming a hairdresser and cutting his hair. And it got to the third sort of cut that I did over a number of months, where each sort of haircut became a simulacrum of the previous one until it ended up where it was like shaving a pineapple. Because he just had this like tuft on top, and I had to just try and follow the last haircut, which got more and more skewed every time I cut it. So I can see that obviously Tom and Barbara are going at the doing the hair from home, from the self-sustainability angle of not having to spend money. But it was kind of enforced on us during lockdown to cut each other's hair. Yeah.
It seems like a good idea until you have to do it all the time,
yes,
I guess.
Yes, it does. Yes, until you're shaving a pineapple and you wish you'd not started.
I think Tom makes one other valid point about why a lot of people might be enticed to have home haircuts, which is that it's not long until the barber, whoever you go and see, if you're a man, he will kind of bring the conversation round to his hobby horse, whatever that might be.
Yes, yes.
You know, you have to pick your barber not based on the 1970s haircuts in the window, but on their opinions on Muslims. And you don't want to end up with a racist barber going, do you know what I'd do? Shoot them all.
Exactly.
Send them back.
Exactly. Although Tom did choose one whose hobby horse was Esperanto.
Yeah. Yeah, which I can't imagine how he would have been. But then I suppose he's fictional. I had a barber once. He was like a cross between two characters from the Fast Show. You know the guy. You know the guy who always liked to agree with everything.
Yeah.
He was like him, but he was also like the guy who was like, "Oh, I worked 30 years at that Man and Boy." So all his stories were about his time in the Navy, but he always liked to try and agree with everything that you said as a customer.
Okay.
How old's your boy now? He must be 8. And you go, no, he's 12 now. Of course he is. Yeah, 12. Of course he is. Oh, fucking hell. So I can totally understand why Tom has stayed at home and got Barbara to cut his hair. And Barbara says that he's got an erotic neck.
Yes.
Which is not like any barber small talk I've ever encountered.
No, which is good. Did get shut down, I think, quite quickly now.
Yeah. And he actually says to her, "You're getting good at this," but to me it looks totally uncut when he stands up. I don't know about you.
She's not done anything. She's just done snip noises around his head.
Yeah, I think so. I think you probably did a better job on Ted than Barbara did on Tom.
Well, I don't know.
Well, we'll have to see pictures, I think.
Yes.
But then their silliness comes out and they start running around the kitchen with scissors.
And then Margo comes in. Margo comes in at that point and tells them off for running with scissors, open scissors.
Yeah. She calls him on it, and I think she's quite right. You don't do that. And we know what a man-child he is, but, there comes a limit. You don't run about with scissors.
You know
Horseplay
that,
with
don't
scissors.
You?
Yeah, any
silly.
idiot knows it. So the Ledbetters have just popped in as they've just arrived back from Amsterdam.
Yes.
The mind boggles what
It
Jerry's
does.
been up to in Amsterdam.
I've got a little fact here.
Okay.
That cannabis became available for recreational use in Amsterdam in the coffee shops in 1976. Which, if I sort of do my maths, the second series of The Good Life would have been released in 1976. So in my head, I am picturing Jerry traipsing round the cafes with, I think, probably trying to get Margo to go off and do some shopping, maybe, so that he can just do laps of the red light district and all the cafes of an afternoon. I bet he had a right good time.
Definitely. He's smoking doobies and sucking boobies all day long. No.
Oh, wonderful.
So Margot's brought back a gift, at least, for the goods. She's obviously gone off to get that whilst Jerry was getting a nosh in the red light district. She's brought back a ceramic windmill, which coincidentally, after last week's episode when you were talking about the ornament in your grandparents' house, this ceramic windmill reminded me of it was almost identical to something that my grandparents had in their house in Liverpool, which was, but it was a musical one. So you'd wind it and the, what do you call the bits on the windmill that go round?
Sails.
The sails on the windmill, rotated to the sound of Tulips from Amsterdam.
I knew you were going to say Tulips from Amsterdam, only because I couldn't think of any other Amsterdam-related song. Oh, that's lovely. Oh.
Well, it was, but it sounded a bit like a sort of mobile phone ringtone on a 1999 Motorola or something. Quickly got repetitive.
Oh, can I just add in there as well that Jerry getting sent to Amsterdam was apparently a treat from work. From Sir, having played golf with him and missed 2 3-inch putts at golf. And Tom even calls him out and calls him Goody Two-Shoes. So it just really highlighted again how much of an arselicker Jerry is at work.
Yeah, that's the only one part of Jerry's
bit slimy and
personality
horrible.
that I don't like.
Yeah.
I imagine that's probably how most of the White House staff managed to get their jobs, by missing easy putts against Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So as well as the ceramic windmill, Jerry's also stocked up on some Dutch gin, which he offers to share with them.
Yes.
And then it quickly becomes apparent that Jerry has been given approval for an allotment. Margo jumps to conclusions and, goes off the deep end at him, but it's actually for the goods to extend their small holding. I think it's specifically for, Tom says it's for his speciality crops, which kind of makes it sound like, do you know, like Hilary Bliss, the butcher in Royston Vasey with his special meat? But it's actually strawberries and blackcurrants that he wants to sell because presumably there's a good markup on those, which kind of makes sense. In the days before, the supermarkets would just import fruit from wherever in the world.
Yeah.
Good British strawberries, probably a good money maker for Tom and Barbara.
Yeah, they do taste better.
And then we have the enthusiastic young fella that you anticipated last week would be hugely annoying.
Yeah.
Guy.
I think now that the character of Guy is just quite well acted, because I tend to find that if I take a dislike to a character, it's usually because the person plays it in such a way that it's quite believable. And yeah, I do recognise Guy.
You recognise the actor?
No, I recognise the character. And it is someone who I would find quite irritating, but it's because he plays it really well that I find it irritating, I think.
Well, he did, that actor did go on to appear in other sitcoms. He was in Reggie Perrin.
Oh, right.
And, which we might deep dive at some point. I do like a bit of Reggie Perrin. I like anything with Leonard Rossiter in, really.
Yeah.
But he was also, I think I saw that on his IMDb, he was also in Shelley. Do you remember Shelley?
Yes, yep.
With Howell Bennett.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, so he was a good actor, and he played the part well, as you said. He came in and was immediately earnest, wasn't he? And
oh God, yeah.
Enthusiastic. He sort of really, he had all the intensity of sort of Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York. He was like, him and his girlfriend Ruth had arrived, and they were working for the goods in exchange for board. But they were taking it all so seriously, I think, was
absolutely
the takeaway from that scene.
Really sort of, the goods to them have got like the ideal lifestyle, and they just want to replicate it. They just want to be part of it. They just want to be immersed in this life.
And of course, Margo, though, she's aghast at the idea of them being kept in the house, as if they were sort of pigs or rodents or something.
She's got, she really doesn't like students.
Jerry dislikes them more, doesn't he?
Yeah. Grubby, Maoist, lefty. She's not very complimentary about them.
I just happen to think that students are lazy, grubby, irresponsible ingrates, and if they're helping you with the allotment, it's only in order to grow next year's crop of marijuana.
Probably a belief that the middle classes still hold to this day, really, about students. And then Margo, as usual, takes it a step further and cites Maoist cells, but...
Yes, yeah.
She's a complete paranoid nutter, really. I think she would be a COVIDiot, actually, if she was around today.
Do you think?
Probably. She just seems to believe these sort of far-flung... she lives in fear, doesn't she?
Yeah. Would that not make her put more masks on, though?
I think she'd be more fearful of Bill Gates thinking that he invented the fucking virus to control her. So anyway, she's disgusted, Margo, and particularly she's perturbed at the news that they're sleeping in the same room and bed. This is a woman who's about 32 years of age. She's not an old lady. No. She's just old before her time, isn't she, really?
She's very troubled with it. The goods come to the conclusion that the Guy and Ruth are quite serious. And earnest, and at only 20, they're a bit too old for the goods, who sort of love the silliness and the daftness, and they just feel that Guy and Ruth are just a bit too sort of composed, perhaps.
It's a miracle that they get on with Margo, really, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Given that, but then I think the Ledbetters depart, and I think Tom observes how intense and serious this young couple are before we fade into the next scene where they're arguing about who's going to do the dishes.
Who's washing up after the dinner that they've all just enjoyed. And they play a game of rock, paper, scissors. But then they don't call it that. And I don't want to get it wrong, but they describe it as Ching Chong Chala. Is that right?
I wrote down Ching Chong Cholla, but... you might be right. Either way, it sounded to me like it was going to be incredibly racist, but I don't think it is.
It did to me too. No, I did a bit of a search on this, and it's just another name for rock, paper, scissors that you see in certain parts of East London, apparently, which I'm guessing is with like an external influence in that area, and it's just another name for rock, paper, scissors.
It's another one of these obscure 70s references. I can't imagine Ching Chong Cholla is something you hear today. Still.
No. Although, I think I did read as well that Jade Goody on Big Brother was caught, sort of not caught out, but used this phrase on the TV, and immediately people jumped on it that she was racist and she had no right to be sort of using words like that anymore. And
well, to be fair, she was for the most part when she was on that programme.
That's it, and I can see why people perhaps jumped to that conclusion. But she was from East London, and I can imagine it was part of her upbringing, sort of playing this game and hearing those words. So I don't think it was necessarily from a racist sort of standpoint.
No, we'll let that one slip, but I'm sure there's going to be some more racism for us to come back to shortly.
But rock, paper, scissors, it was a game to decide who was going to do the washing up.
Well, thank you very much, Jerry.
Once that was decided, I think it quickly becomes apparent that young Ruth has inexplicably developed the horn for one Tom Good.
Yes. like sitting at his feet. It was a bit sort of fawning and a bit odd that literally hanging on his every word.
Well, they both were, weren't they? I mean, she was
Yes.
sort of relatively sweet, if a bit intense, but the fellow was just an absolute walloper, wasn't he? He'd wear me out with all that.
Yeah, tiring.
And he was self-flagellating all the time, wasn't he? Beating himself up for saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the lines he said was, Tom said something quite banal, and then Guy said, "That is the most incisive single-line castigation of the system that I have ever heard." Which...
It would have, I can imagine that just them being there it would have ruined my night. After my tea, sitting down and just like ready to have a chat and a relax, and God, he's just sort of, just couldn't turn it off at all.
It's just too much, isn't it? He was like a sort of middle-class Alexei Sale without the charm or scouseness, wasn't he? He was just far too intense. And you know, sort of communist, I think Margo called him. I don't know if that was maybe a step too far, certainly socialist. But the two of them, their attention on Tom sort of borders on hero worship. Guy at one point sat on the floor, has his hand on Tom's knee. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. Oh,
I thought he was going to start giving him a tug at one point.
Well,
he's that into him. Mind you, she'd have joined in as well. It could have been a menage a quatre if Barbara had got involved.
I was going to say it's late night Hollyoaks territory.
Yep, we're slipping into it again. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. Tom says something quite wise. I quite liked. He said, I think Guy asked him what his message was, and he said, "Well, the only message I've got for the world is leave me alone."
Yeah.
Which is great. I've never liked Tom more than at that point. So eventually the Goods managed to get rid of the two up to bed. Ruth making cow eyes at Tom as she leaves. Yeah. And Tom is absolutely oblivious as usual. It takes Barbara to point out that she seems to be infatuated with him. He's got no awareness of the situation.
Barbara says directly to Tom that Ruth fancies you. And Tom says, "Never. Does she?" And it's that kind of mock, "Oh, really? Oh, shucks." Like, as if he didn't really notice. And she says, "She can't keep her eyes off you." But Tom's loving it. And then they start talking about Ruth's bosoms, which really did, because he's talking about her being a child. And then talking about her bosoms, and hashtag different times, perhaps.
A little bit. But what that conversation did give us, which I thought was quite nice, was we learn a little bit about Tom and Barbara's early courtship with Tom apparently impressed Barbara's parents, didn't he? But he turned up in the car and she describes him as a would-be sophisticate. But then he sort of ruined it at the cinema by sticking his finger in some woman's raspberry ripple. You gotta hope that's not a euphemism.
I hope it isn't. Yeah. Oh. But that did tickle me, because you can sort of see them as a younger couple, just going out and doing younger couple stuff.
I think I'm not sure I'm on your side there with that with Tom being coy. I think he was generally his head up his arse, and he didn't realise.
Do you not think he realised?
He's too wrapped up in himself at the best of times, isn't he? So I think it was a bit of a surprise to him, and he was oblivious. And he actually says to Barbara that she's making it up. And she says, "Well, why would I?" And that's when he says, "Well, you're getting a bit past it, a bit raddled. Your figure's gone."
What a bastard.
Yeah, he's clearly messing about. I mean, I could take all these things seriously just to fuel my hatred of Tom, but I think he's... they were just messing. They were just being the goods, weren't they?
Yeah.
Back at the Ledbetters...
There's pencil sharpening going on, there's gavel getting, it's all heating up round at the Ledbetters, definitely.
Yep, Margo's got no time to discuss London Bridge. I don't know why she needs a gavel. Why does she need a gavel?
Because she's going to be the chair of this imaginary meeting that she's
only
going to
invited
hold.
the goods to.
That nobody knows about, but it's that importance, that sort of feeling of importance if you've got a gavel in your hand, I suppose.
Yep.
Why has she got a gavel? For what other reason would you have a gavel in your house?
You don't use a gavel with bridge, do you, when you're playing bridge?
I don't know.
I've only ever known a gavel used by a judge.
In a court, yeah. Maybe she's just got...
Delusions of grandeur, yeah.
It is, isn't it?
I think so. So the goods turn up, not quite knowing why they've been invited, and as you say, it transpires it's the inaugural meeting of a sort of residents' association that she's formed without anyone's knowledge, and she wishes to influence who will buy the property for sale next door.
Yes, the Turners are selling their house, and Margot wants to veto any undesirables.
Yeah, it's very master race of her, isn't it?
Yeah, you could see it coming though, I suppose, couldn't you? That she would want to have control over who's going to move into this house, to make sure it's not somebody that doesn't suit her.
And she's the only one who seems to really give much of a shit. Jerry's more interested in his dinner.
Yeah, where's my dinner?
Barbara's sort of taking the piss because when she pipes up, Margot says, "The chair recognises Barbara." And Tom, for his part, he just suggests quite rightly that they all mind their own bloody business.
Yeah, I like that. I'm on board with Tom. That they should just keep their nose out.
And the meeting's then interrupted, isn't it, as Guy turns up at the patio doors with a sort of typically earnest, dramatic declaration that he couldn't compete with such a giant social philosopher as Tom. He doesn't blame Ruth for being in love with him, but he and Ruth want to turn the goods house into a commune full of waifs and strays that will embrace sustainability, which is beyond naive to think that he can just do that to this middle-aged man.
Waltz into somebody's house and he's got a full list. He's got a full list of people that are willing to take part already. But
Tom's having none of it. He has the chance to become the cult leader, but his ego isn't quite so far gone that he's even tempted by that. And then we cut to back inside where Jerry finds it hysterical that Ruth fancies Tom. He says, "If it was me, I'd understand." She says, "A commune in the avenue, it's unthinkable." And then I think she also says that there are millionaires and there are millionaires, because it turns out, doesn't it, that Guy's father is minted.
He owns half of Staffordshire, apparently. But Guy despises money, which Margot finds just ridiculous.
So they start plotting what they can do to try and scupper the plans of Guy and Ruth to buy the house next door, because Tom wouldn't have them in his house, so they declared they were going to buy the next door house so that they could avail themselves of Tom's expertise by popping in and asking advice. But this plan between the four main characters to scupper that idea, it quickly disintegrates when Tom realises his own hypocrisy. He has a rare moment of self-awareness and says, "What am I doing?" You know, he says, "It's none of our business. Guy and Ruth can do what they want." And he says, "Wife!" And they walk out.
Good life.
So back in the goods kitchen, Tom is fetching a chicken from the top of the kitchen cupboards.
Yeah, there's a chicken on top of the cabinets.
Yeah, not sure how that got there, but chickens can fly.
Yeah, they can just flutter, can't they? But they have had, I can imagine, chicken poo all over the top of the cabinets and worktops and things. Oh, yuck.
That's the side of the lifestyle they've chosen that you don't really see from the, in the sitcom world.
Guy and Ruth are now in the kitchen because they're going. They're going to leave, and they've cleaned up their bedroom. And Ruth says she's had the most marvellous week of her life. Wow.
Yep.
Living in the goods shit-covered house.
Sheltered life it must have been, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, and Guy's decided that they're not going to buy the house next door because Ruth needs to be removed from Tom.
From his raw sexual magnetism.
Oh, yeah.
She has to get away from Tom completely. And I think also Guy starts, beating himself up again, saying, "What do I have to offer Ruth?" And to be honest, it's a good fucking question.
Yeah. Yeah, just chill out, mate.
But I suppose the 3 million quid would come in handy, as Tom points out.
Yeah. Just do some good with it, Guy. Just, stop flagellating.
So Margot arrives as the young uns depart, declaring dramatically that her and Jerry will be moving to... Is it Cobham?
Cobham. Moving to Cobham.
Ironic, because she's got a cob on, hasn't she?
Yes.
I don't really know anything about Cobham, do you, being northern?
No, I'm guessing it's very white middle class.
You'd assume.
Perhaps. But she's moving because of you and your hippie friends have driven us out of the avenue. is what she
Yes.
tells Tom and Barbara.
But she is relieved to when Tom tells her that actually the Guy and Ruth aren't moving in at all. And immediately she's like, oh, good. Well, I don't have to go then.
Yeah,
Because she didn't want to go anyway. The chemist in Cobham is apparently called a drugstore, which Margot disapproves of, so she didn't want to go anyway.
No, that's quite American. Do you think Cobham might be like a new town?
Like Milton
Right.
Keynes or something.
Yeah, drugstore.
But Tom then, even though Ruth and Guy aren't moving in, Tom drops the bombshell that the new neighbours will in fact be, and I tried to write this down as he said it.
Mr. and Mrs. Aziz Mohammed Abun Khan.
Yeah, close enough. To which Margot flees in hysterics, the lovable old racist.
Oh.
She just runs out of the house going, Jerry! Yeah, I told you there'd be some racism for us to, tackle.
I know.
And then the episode ends with Tom giving Barbara a little cuddle, because it was clearly just a wind-up.
Oh, I see, one of your jokes. Very good.
It struck me at the point that Barbara starts reminiscing about Tom impressing her parents. That at no other point at least in this entire 4 series, is any other extended family ever mentioned of any of the central characters. Because in most sitcoms, yeah, it's never done, is it? In most sitcoms, they would bring in at some point, a matriarchal mother to show maybe how Margot ended up quite as snobby as she is, or maybe a mother that showed how Tom was such a mummy's boy and that's why he's such a man-child. But they never bring in any of the parents, and obviously they don't have any children. It's very narrow-focused, isn't it, in a way?
It is. I'd never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's lots of, lots of series historically that have extended because of the addition of external family members. Perhaps that was why it was only 4 series long, because you sort of played out the relationships that were sort of focused on in their entirety, without the addition of anybody else to sort of pull it out a bit more.
Well, I think maybe it is true that those type of characters are added when the writers running short of ideas.
Yeah, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. But I just thought that was worth flagging. It's unusual that you don't even hear any reference really to their upbringings or, there's very little backstory, ever given. Was there anything else from this episode you wanted to discuss, Al?
No, I think I had a couple of true or falses for you.
Oh, cool.
Although I seem to have centred around Amsterdam. It was obviously a big thing for me this episode. So I've got a couple of true or false Amsterdam facts that I'd like you to just sort of ponder over.
Okay.
True or false? Amsterdam is built on stilts.
There's a lot of water there, isn't there? Built on stilts. I'm going to say true.
Yeah.
Because why would you make it up?
I know, yeah. It's built on jelly. Yes, the Netherlands has 11 million wooden poles that have been dug into the sort of the ground around the country, supporting the buildings from sinking, apparently. So Amsterdam could just disappear into the canals and float away.
It's just one huge orgasm from Jerry away from sinking. Is. Yeah.
Oh, I've got a multiple choice. I've got a multiple choice question.
Okay.
About clogs for you. The oldest. I've not written the answer down.
That's not going to work, then, is it?
Can I just do that bit again? Hang on. I just need to Google the answer. Oh, idiot. I got that excited. Okay. So I've got a multiple choice clog question for you. This is very sweeping generalisations about the Netherlands here. The oldest clogs, do they date back to 1037, 1230, or 1643? These are not times of the day.
That's
these
what I was
are
thinking.
dates. When do you put your clogs on? No, these are dates in time. So 1037, 1230, or 1643.
I'll go for the middle one. 12:30.
Yeah, you bet you're good at this.
Cooking with gas.
Oh.
Are you gutted?
I am. That you've. No, I just think that my questions are a bit shit, that's all.
Yes. Next week on the Netherlands Deep Dive Archive.
And my final one. Oh, no, these are just awful. How many windmills are there in Holland?
Have I got multiple choice again?
Yeah, but it's, oh, God, it's like I'm reading for a 3-year-old. Are there 65?
Yeah.
Are there 1,000? Or are there 8 million?
Well, that's a taxing question. I think I'll go for the middle one again. You could have changed those figures before you even read it out, you know.
Oh, dear.
Jesus
yes, you're
Christ.
correct. 3 out of 3. Maybe I don't do quiz questions in future.
Am I the Quizmaster General? Do you want me to
yes,
return
you
to
are.
the role? No,
you have the gavel. You keep that gavel. I don't want it.
Actually, one thing about, seeing as you seem to be obsessed with the Netherlands this week, obviously we've discussed in the past, not that anyone listening to the podcast would know, but we've discussed in the past writing our own sitcom, haven't we?
Yes.
So how about we write a sitcom set in Amsterdam, seeing as you love the place so much, and it can be about a detective who solves crimes using a network of prostitutes, and we'll call it Clever Clogs.
Clever Clogs. I like that. I think we should do. Nobody steal that idea.
No. In fact, I'm going to edit it out.
TM. Yeah, don't tell anybody.
Trademark.
It'll be all over that.
Sitcom Archive, Deep Dive Overdrive. Yeah, I think that's a winner, Al.
Clever Clogs.
So getting back to the good life after our little sojourn into the life of the Netherlands, who was your MVP in this episode?
My MVP was Tom in this episode.
I agree with you, man. This is terrible.
He just his approach to these young upstarts that want to just follow his lifestyle piece by piece. And I think Tom was quite humble about it, and quite willing to keep his nose out when he could have got involved in something that didn't really involve him. I just think he showed a lot of good qualities in this episode for me.
He did. He was principled, but he also had some really nice, well-observed lines. And, well, he wasn't quite the philosopher that Guy made him out to be. He lived his values, and he said some very wise things. And he also, his wind-up on Margo at the end was quite inspired as well, really, even though it shows her in a bad light. He knew how she'd react. Yeah. So, yes. Tom is now storming ahead. He must have a 4-point advantage, and I just can't believe it. But, you know, I'm not going to fix it. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Let's not dwell on it. The tab. We had no smokes this week, blagged or otherwise.
I did watch out because there was a point where Margo was having a cigarette. It was in a holder, and I thought that would have been prime time for Tom to be on the cadge, but he didn't. Before Guy turned up,
he just inhaled a secondary smoke and enjoyed it.
Just wafting it all in.
So I think it's time for a little trip over to Al's Fashion Corner.
Fashion Corner.
Fashion Corner. Fashion Corner. Fashion Corner. Fashion Corner.
So in Fashion Corner this week, there's quite a lot to talk about. There's more quantity rather than quality. The re-emergence of the leather jacket and Burberry check pant ensemble of Jerry was there again.
Yep.
Just for lolling about round at your mate's house. Guy's Che Guevara military jacket, which is quite sort of en vogue still now.
Iconic, isn't it?
But it is iconic. It's something that sort of you see it and you know exactly sort of. Perhaps you can draw a conclusion about someone's political leanings from that jacket. Ruth's patchwork top of purples and oranges stood out to me as being quite iconic. I think patchwork is quite an iconic sort of look to it. Did you spot anything then, Ben? Any fashion worth looking at?
Well, I am a typical bloke who doesn't really spot these things, but Margot's leopard skin outfit when she was
The
holding
floating-
the residence meeting. Yeah, it was.
Yes.
That was quite. Well, it was. Yeah, it bordered on tacky a little bit actually for Margo.
Do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all subjective, isn't it? I mean, I'm
is.
sat here in my tracky bottoms and a t-shirt with the edge on it from YouTube. So who am I to criticise?
That print now, I think sort of animal print is quite iconic and some say tacky, others would say timeless, perhaps. There's quite a big re-emergence of animal prints in fashion today. So that is something that wouldn't. It's one of them outfits from The Good Life that would, I think, seamlessly end up in a show now, and it wouldn't look out of place. It wouldn't look dated, I don't think.
No, you're probably right, yeah. I always think that leopard skin more so than other animal print, because my wife's really into cow print type things, and I always think that looks really cool. Zebra print too, but there's something about leopard skin that just seems, I don't know, there must be a root cause, a root reference that makes me
Is it like a Bet Lynch thing from Coronation Street? Like a bit sort of...
It could be that, it could be Lilo Lil in bread, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a certain character in British TV, especially, that you put that print onto them, and it changes how you see and what you draw from them and how you judge them, I suppose.
It's kind of the tart with a heart look, isn't it?
Yes, although Margo, I think she looked really elegant in it.
Well, fair enough. I'll cut her some slack.
Yeah.
So next week's episode of SADDO will be Series 2, Episode 3. Do you know what that is, Al?
I do. It's Mr. Fix-It, where Tom sets about fixing bits and pieces at home, but they come up with a sort of different plan of how to get essential equipment given for free.
Okay. That vaguely rings a bell. Has it got something to do with publicising their way of life?
Yes.
Okay.
It involves a journalist and a newspaper and a mix-up, of course.
Yeah, in traditional sitcom style.
Yes. Yeah. So if you're enjoying what we're doing and you're following along, you can check out at SADDO Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. On our Facebook page, you can find it by searching SADDO Podcast. We've got the website at www.saddo.club, where you can get more information and listen to the episodes. Get in touch. Email us at saddopodcast@gmail.com and subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
And we've also got some blog posts up on our website now, so when we're not banging on about the good life for the podcast, we're also writing about the good life. So.
We're writing about it, yes.
Yeah, so go and check those out if you like. And you can also subscribe to our newsletter, a newsletter which so far I've not written, but at some point I may. So, knock yourself out.
That'd be a nice surprise for people then, won't it, when it just pops into their inbox?
I think so. So thanks for listening and join us again.
Yay! See you soon.
I'll see thee.